project just like you sign.
I'm just like you.
I like art.
My favorite song is Michael Jackson.
I make jewelry. I made this bracelet.
I like to read, eat, and sleep.
Mi piace la scuola, un pochino della scuola.
I like to sing Smooth Criminal with Billie Jean.
I like ice cream. I like tacos.
Moi, j'ai aimé à jouer foot.
Red and pink are my favorite colors.
Off the Wall, Thriller.
You want to sing one for us?
No.
Me gusta la gimnasia.
I love my sister.
That's your brother, silly. You're a sister.
我最喜欢的颜色是紫色。
I like taekwondo. I am born to be a leader.
We're twins.
My favorite color is dark blue.
I like to carry the torch for Special Olympics.
I am just like you. I'm just like you.
Io sono come voi.
I'm just like you.
我和你一样。
We're just like you.
Moi, je suis comme toi.
I'm just like you.
Merci.
I am just like you.
We are just like you.
Soy como tú.
I'm just like you.
I'm just like you. He's sorry.
I am just like
You.
I'm just like you. I like art.
My favorite song is Michael Jackson.
I make jewelry. I made this bracelet.
I like to read, eat, and sleep.
Mi piace la scuola, un pochino della scuola.
I like to sing Smooth Criminal with Billie Jean.
I like ice cream. I like tacos.
Moi, j'ai aimé à jouer foot.
Red and pink are my favorite colors.
Off the Wall, Thriller.
You want to sing one for us?
No.
Me gusta la gimnasia.
I love my sister.
That's your brother, silly. You're a sister.
我最喜欢的颜色是紫色。
I like taekwondo. I am born to be a leader.
We're twins.
My favorite color is dark blue.
I like to carry the torch for Special Olympics.
I am just like you. I'm just like you.
Io sono come voi.
I'm just like you.
我和你一样。
We're just like you.
Moi, je suis comme toi.
I'm just like you.
Merci.
I am just like you.
We are just like you.
Soy como tú.
I'm just like you.
I'm just like you. He's sorry.
I am just like
You.
I'm just like you. I like art.
My favorite song is Michael Jackson.
I make jewelry. I made this bracelet.
I like to read, eat, and sleep.
Mi piace a scuola, un pochino a scuola.
I like to sing Smooth Criminal with Billie Jean.
I like ice cream. I like tacos.
Moi, j'ai aimé à jouer foot.
Red and pink are my favorite colors.
Off the wall. Thriller.
You want to sing one?
No.
Me gusta la gimnasia. I love my sister.
That's your brother, silly. You're a sister.
我最喜欢的颜色是紫色。
I like taekwondo. I am born to be a leader. We're twins.
My favorite color is dark blue.
I like to carry the torch for Special Olympics.
I am just like you. I'm just like you.
Io sono come voi.
I'm just like you.
我和你一样。
We're just like you.
Moi, je suis comme toi.
I'm just like you.
I am just like you.
We are just like you. Soy como tú. I'm just like you.
I'm just like you. He says.
I am just like
You.
I'm just like you. I like art.
My favorite song is Michael Jackson.
I make jewelry. I made this bracelet.
I like to read, eat, and sleep.
Mi piace a scuola, un pochino a scuola.
I like to sing Smooth Criminal with Billie Jean.
I like ice cream. I like tacos.
Moi, j'ai aimé à jouer foot.
Red and pink are my favorite colors.
Off the wall. Thriller.
You want to sing one?
No.
Me gusta la gimnasia. I love my sister.
That's your brother, silly. You're a sister.
我最喜欢的颜色是紫色。
I like taekwondo. I am born to be a leader. We're twins.
My favorite color is dark blue.
Hi, welcome to Movement Monday, which is now on Tuesday for today because my power was knocked out last night. So here we are. My name is Molly Korte, the founder of Project Just Like You. I began Project Just Like You in the fall of 2016 after my son Jacob was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. I wanted a way to show that Jacob was just like any other child. And so we just started sharing stories about children and just showed how they are just like their peers. because ultimately, I believe that every single person needs to be seen as a dignified human being. And that's what we do, because when we focus on what we have in common, then we break down all the fears and we see people as people. And that's where a friendship can begin, by shared experiences. So I'm so glad that you've joined us tonight. We are looking forward to an exciting show tonight. We want to thank Fiat Ministry Media, who does all of our producing of these shows, and we are so thankful for them. Check them out at fiatministrynetwork.tv. We'd love to know where you're from tonight. So we have people from all around the country, sometimes from around the world, who tune in. And we'd love to know where you are from. So if you can give us your name and where you're from, then we'll give you a shout out. We also are encouraging you to ask questions, because tonight when you ask a question, your name goes into a drawing to win a Target gift card. So we are hoping that that you will be the lucky person tonight. So ask a question, be part of it. That's right. And also, please consider to donate to a project just like you. These shows are made possible by your kind donations. And the more we grow and reach, the more we can pull guests who you want to connect with, who are making a difference in the world of disabilities or special needs, however you want, unique abilities, however you want to say it. So we rely heavily on your contributions, because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So tonight we want to welcome our guest, Karen Prewitt. We are so excited to have Karen. Karen writes, after growing up in the Midwest, Karen is a longtime resident now of Jacksonville, Florida. She is a spouse, the parent of 2 children, and an advocate for those with unique needs. After the birth of her son, Caleb, in 2007, who was diagnosed with Down syndrome at birth, she has embraced the special needs community. She has spent the past 11 years working with a number of disability-related organizations locally, statewide, and nationally. Her passion is making sure that parents have information and resources. Karen is on a number of boards for local organizations, as well as a statewide task force. She is a brand ambassador for Able United and assists her son in managing his own Able United account. She blogs also for the Toothbrush Pillow. So please help us welcome Karen tonight. And Karen, we are so excited to have you on our show. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm just as thrilled to be on here. Love you, followed you now since almost the beginning.
Yeah.
And forget how we got connected, but we've been right there with each other through almost 2 years now. So
absolutely. And Karen, for me, this is such a thrill to have you on the show tonight, because you have, when I think of all the people that I've connected with on this journey after Jacob was diagnosed, you are always at the forefront of my mind. And I don't know how you do it, but you have the energy and you have this charisma, and you support all of us in our endeavors in the special needs world. And it is just incredible how I don't know how you do it, Karen, but it's amazing to me, because you are so well connected with everyone. You know exactly what's going on. You know when the new campaigns start, like you are just on it.
Well, first of all, I have to say, my mantra is really better together, because I think organizations and agencies and individuals all do things better when they're working together. We can be a stronger voice for each other, and help support those loved ones and individuals, if we are a self-advocate. So
absolutely. Well, I have just always admired you, and
well, thank you so much.
And really, like, you just have always, when I think about the people who have supported Project Just Like You from the very beginning, you always come to mind, and you're just a blessing to us all, Karen.
Well, I love what you guys do. I think it's so important to show that our kids with unique needs are more alike than different. And certainly that inclusion piece that you guys are shouting from the rooftop is hugely important. So
thank you.
My hat's off to you.
Thank you. Well, it's so fun to have you tonight. So Karen, for all of us who are not, like the 10 people out here who are not connected knowing about Caleb, can you tell us about your journey with Caleb?
Oh gosh. Okay. So we are older parents. Our daughter was almost 18 when we found out we were expecting. Surprise. And didn't know, since I was older, I had monthly sonograms, never picked up the fact that he had Down syndrome or the fact that he had 2 heart issues. So again, surprise at birth when, that was a hard week. That was really a hard week. With the Down syndrome diagnosis and then the 2 heart issues, which was even harder to accept. I guess having raised a child before to adulthood almost, I think it was easier for us to, number one, accept the fact that he had unique needs, and number two, almost from the get-go, just go out and start finding ways that we could support him in his journey. We felt that that was important to do from the beginning and make those connections. And I still believe that's a huge piece of, what we do every day with him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now that he's 11, we're looking at puberty and all those teenage things that we get to live through again. And marching forward onto adulthood. So, you think you're through the hump, and then, new issues and new topics come up. And so you're always learning along the journey.
Sure. Well, I know Caleb and your presence has been such a inspiring piece for many parents out there, because they've seen Caleb literally grow up on Instagram and grow up on Facebook, Caleb's Crew. And, I know that this has been you've just been inspired so many other parents out there. So as you're looking at Caleb's life going forward, what do you see for him, Karen?
Well, first of all, I have to say that one of the reasons why we did start the movement on Instagram to move over to more of his focus was really to show parents of younger kids, because I think that's who a lot of our followers are, that, your kid can do almost anything that they put their mind to. And, he lives a full life. He loves his life. We love his life. We love, everything about it. Not everything, most of it. But, certainly we had our own mentors, and we had our own folks that were a couple steps ahead of us that shared, struggles that their children had been through that really helped us. So I'm just trying to pay it forward a bit with that. And really the same thing moving forward with his life is, we've got friends who have, teenagers who are 15, 16. And, I talk with them pretty frankly about, the things that they're struggling with now or their successes. Or, what can we do at this point in Caleb's life to make it better going forward? Mm-hmm. Really at this point, it's funny because I was just talking with a friend about self-determination and how do we start ramping that up for him? How do we help him start making his own decisions with limited verbal skills? So that's a process that we're going to have to start looking at and working on as our family. So,
okay, sure.
And then it's really up to him, we can support him, certainly we'll give him guidance, but I want him to explore the things that he wants to explore.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a feeling that one of those explorations will be going into cooking, maybe.
Hopefully.
It's so fun to see you preparing the meals with your husband, and
he loves that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good. Well, we know that wherever Caleb ends up, that he's going to have a bright future because he has parents who believe in him and who support him and just love him for who he is. And
and that's the message that we want to share though with everyone else, is that your child can be just as successful. You just have to believe in them and have a good village to surround them. We have a great village. I mean, Jacksonville is wonderful for people with unique needs. There's a lot of support here, so we're very thankful for that. We're very blessed. So
I think that's wonderful.
It's a village.
That's fantastic, Karen. I love that. And you can tell. And Caleb is he's a really happy kid. I mean, you just watch him in his pictures. He's
99.9% of the time.
Right? Yeah, of course.
There's that 1%.
But I'm saying, you can just see that he just seems to, when you see Caleb, or when I see Caleb in pictures, he just seems to be a happy, generally well-adjusted kid who's, just
happens to have Down syndrome, right?
That's right. Happens to have Down syndrome. Absolutely. You had mentioned that Caleb is the ambassador for Able United. Can you explain what that is to people who don't know about Able, and how it helped your family?
So Able accounts the Able bill passed in 2014? I forget. We were on the journey from almost the beginning here in Jacksonville when Andrew Crenshaw kind of led the charge for Able accounts, and we were happy to be a part of the whole movement and very supportive of the National Down Syndrome Society, and worked with other groups, of course, to help that pass and be enacted into law. And Able accounts opened up here in Florida in 2016, so it's been almost 2 years now.
Okay.
We were thrilled to have that start here in Florida. I think we were the third or fourth state. So Able accounts really help individuals with unique needs to save for the future. For those of you watching, or anyone who has a family member with a disability, that for most of us, if you want to access government benefits, there's a $2,000 cap on assets. But you can't buy much with $2,000. So Able was implemented to help not circumvent that, but just support those individuals who wanted to work and wanted to live as independently as possible. So there's currently a $15,000 per year. You can put that into your Able United account here in Florida. So, when he starts working, he can put his own money into his account. For right now, we kind of put a little bit in there every now and then. And if Grandpa wants to put some money in there, or anybody else, they can help him with that as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's so wonderful that they passed that Able account. And now we are, I'll tell you, being that buddy walk back in April, I know you've done several buddy walks.
So exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting. But now seeing this next, and I think it's going to pass, Karen, the ending loss syndrome, which also affects us. It affects all of us in the unique needs community. And so I'm really hopeful about this. I think it's gonna, but that's gonna be the next big thing is making sure that everyone is paid equal wages for their work. It blows my mind that in 2018 we still have these laws that
don't make sense.
Don't make sense, and I don't
hold people back.
Yeah, I don't even know how it's justified, quite frankly. We want to welcome tonight Tracy, Reagan, Robin, Maria, P.S., Brian, Kelly. Tracy says, please say hello to Caleb for us.
Hello.
Hi, Tracy. We're glad that you joined us tonight. Kelly wants to know, what resources have you felt that are the most valuable to help you through your journey?
Oh gosh, well that's easy, because I think the connections that social media is a huge thing now. It wasn't that big of a deal when Caleb was born in 2007. There wasn't, I don't even think Facebook was around back then. I think that was 2009. So really, Baby Center was where we started out with support, me personally. And I still have a group of mom friends who have migrated over to Facebook now, and our kids are all the same age, and it's fun seeing what everybody's doing. But aside from that social media support, and there's certainly a ton of it out there, I think connecting with local resources, our Down Syndrome Association was a huge benefit to us in the beginning. Just talking with the executive director who had a son who's 20 years older than Caleb, other families that were in the organization. As I mentioned, those who were just a couple of years ahead of us on our journey. We had some great teachers along the way. We have a ton of great educational supports, therapists. So we've just been so lucky with that. But I definitely would say reach out to those local support groups if you have them in your area, and see how you can get connected, and talk to other parents. I think that's a huge thing too. If there's a local support group, whether it's a GG's or a autism support group, see what they're doing. What are they doing with their child that's helping them to succeed?
Mm-hmm. Excellent. We have another question for you, Karen. Kelly wants to know also, she says, special needs parents love to unite. An advocate, what do you feel are the best ways for fellow parents to join in advocacy? That's a great question, Kelly.
Well, do you want to share about partners in policy making? What a great lead in.
That is a great leading. Yeah, sure. So absolutely. So partners in policy, and we have one more question on here. Partners in policy making. I just finished mine, Karen, this past spring. So I just graduated. Yeah, that has absolutely been a huge networking support, and it's just opened so many doors. And for me, it's been incredible. Just how much you learn and how much you pick up. Now, when did you finish yours, Karen?
So just to let everybody know what Partners in Policy Making is,
go ahead.
It's a national program. I think it was started in Minnesota, and there are some online classes for Partners in Policy Making too, if people can't make it to the physical class. But for most groups, it's a 6-month training period. You go once a month for a weekend, and you work with other parents and sometimes professionals, and self-advocates as well. And you learn education, you learn the history of disability, you learn advocacy, you learn independent living, all kinds of things, transportation, almost anything that you might encounter in your child's or yourself lifetime is discussed. And then the thing that I loved the best about Partners in Policy Making was actually practicing the advocacy roles. You have to do a presentation, which made a lot of people nervous, but then we all went together to our state capitol on Advocacy Day, and what a thrill that was, because most people don't get to do Buddy Walk on Washington or go to the national, just the Capitol for an Advocacy Day. So to do that was really empowering. But you could start with advocacy, simply by finding out who your legislators are and letting them know who you are. Letting them know what your issues are, what issues you're concerned about, who your child is, so just making sure that you know who those people are and connecting with them.
Yeah. And I know that you've done Buddy Walk several times in the state of Florida and also in DC, right? Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah, both are thrilling. I mean, both are certainly Buddy Walk on Washington is so much fun. I mean, you just make such great connections there, and it's a thrill to be there on the Hill and talk to those legislators about what your issues are, and NDSS walks you through everything and holds your hand. So it's a great experience. I would highly recommend it.
Absolutely. And I was so sad that I missed you this time.
We
but
were
I
so
do want
glad we couldn't come.
Yeah. And I do want to give a huge shout out to my friend Tracy, who invited me to go along with her. And that was one of the best experiences that I've had in my advocacy world so far.
Right.
Up there. It's really, I mean, it's a very empowering feeling to be on the Hill. You're talking to your national senators and congressmen, and it's incredible. It's a really exhilarating feeling, and you feel like, okay, this is going to get somewhere.
Right. And it really helps you to know what the issues are, you know, because as a parent, a lot of times you're caught up in the day-to-day of, you know, getting your kids to school or what's for dinner, doing the laundry. And then, you know, something catches your eye about a bill that, you know, like ABLE, you know, I mean, it was such a huge thing, and it kind of rallied everyone around together, which was so wonderful. That was such a fun time, really, to see that pass. That was amazing.
I can imagine what that must have felt like at that time. That's awesome. Like I said, I hope to see it again when we
right,
because I really believe that this law system is going to end soon. A lot of pressure on that. Another question here is, Tracy asks, as older parents, do you have legal documents for guardianship? We wonder if we should.
So Caleb is 11. Certainly we are a couple years away from considering guardianship, but absolutely, you know, we just put on a conference here in Jacksonville last month, and guardianship is always a staple at the conference. It's always a very well attended session. Depending on your state, there's different types of guardianship. So you might want to look into, you know, what type might be best suited for your son or daughter or loved one, because there are different types. And so you don't have to have total guardianship if they're able to make some decisions for themselves. You know, they might want to vote, and other things like that. So it's certainly something that you want to reach out to. I know our ARC here in Jacksonville is very involved with guardianship. They have a team of lawyers that they work with, so that might be a resource in your area to talk about guardianship and other legal documents. You certainly want to start talking about, besides ABLE accounts, you certainly want to start looking at special needs trusts if you haven't. ABLE accounts and special needs trusts can work together hand in hand. So, you know, I don't know how old their child is, but certainly if they're approaching working age, that's something that you want to take a look at.
Sure. I don't know much about guardianship, but you're saying, Karen, that you can select, like you don't have to have full, but you can select certain parts, I guess.
Yeah, some states, you know, it's all different according to your state. So
okay, interesting. All right, and that may be something down the road. We really don't know right now where Jacob will be in time later on, but that's definitely something good to keep in the back of our minds. So as far as Caleb goes, Caleb is involved with modeling, right? Has he done that?
He has done so.
Okay, all right. So is this something, how did he get involved with the modeling world, Karen?
Oh gosh. Well, he has an agency, and so they sent us on a couple calls. One was about a 6-hour drive away, and so that was a very long day.
I'm sure.
We didn't get, that was for a commercial for a very well-known company. We didn't get it, but it was such an exciting thing to be a part of. But he's a brand ambassador for some companies now, and that's exciting too. And, you know, if that leads somewhere, then so be it. We're just, we're very fortunate that David's retired, and I'm a community volunteer, so I have some spare time. So we've got some extra time on our hands.
Awesome. And so because I know that this is becoming a very big thing now within the differently able community is the whole modeling. What advice do you have for parents who are looking to put their child into modeling who are differently abled?
Well, certainly on Instagram and pretty much any social media platform, changing the face of beauty is a huge platform for our individuals. She's done a lot of work on, getting in front of companies and saying, look, our kids can model just the same as anybody else. And so that movement has been around for, gosh, I don't know, 6 or 7 years now. And she's done great things with that. So look for that if you haven't seen that before. They do come to different areas in the country and do photo shoots. So that's something that parents can, if they want to get a group together and bring her in to do some photo shoots. But maybe it's just reaching out to your local modeling agency. There's a couple here in Jacksonville. I wouldn't have any hesitation reaching out to them and saying, hey, for print or, anything else that we felt like he might be ready to do. He's certainly got enough of a shot now. I think we're starting to see that, with Madeline Stewart, you're seeing it all over. And there's a lot of different kids coming up now that are doing modeling for, Sophia for Target.
Yes. Sophia,
So, you're seeing it more and more, which is a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful thing. Yeah. And I just know that, we've seen Caleb in a few things, and it's so fun to watch him, and really to watch all of them, like you were saying, Madeline and Sophia, and I mean, there's a few of them, and they're but a lot of parents may not know, they see these things too, but may not know where to begin or how to go about that. So so I'm curious.
It's a lifestyle, so just be forewarned if you choose to go into that. It's a lot of work. It really is. So
I'm sure it is. We also want to welcome tonight Amy, Lee, and Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. Again, we have Karen Prewitt here with us tonight. She's a terrific parent advocate for her son Caleb, who is 11, who has Down syndrome, who happens to have Down syndrome. And but really, Karen is a voice for so many people, and not only just the Down syndrome world, but all the different worlds of differently able community.
Well, most of the boards that I serve on now support individuals with different unique needs. So, whether it's autism or cerebral palsy or Down syndrome or just intellectual disability. So many of them that I'm working with now are across the board with that. So I think that's where I get my passion for supporting all the different groups, not just Down syndrome. So.
Absolutely. And as you said yourself earlier, Karen, we're stronger together. And I would like to believe that this is a growing trend we're going to see more and more, is the different groups coming together. Because when we come together, our voices are stronger, our impact is stronger, and laws will change. But it takes the voices of all of us coming together as a community and voicing that together. When going back to the buddy walk, I talked a lot with Sarah about uniting the autism and the Down syndrome community, because I feel like our two communities in particular have a really strong impact. And the voices together, I just believe, would make such a monumental impact on our society and really on the world. Go ahead.
Well, if you look at the numbers too, autism is what's the current status?
Oh my goodness, it's changed again. It's like 1 in 50 something now. So it wasn't 168, and now it's become.
So just based on that alone, if you've got parents who are willing to be a voice for not only their child but for the entire community, and then you've got Down syndrome, which is the most common genetic abnormality, however you want to say it.
Right.
that's a huge number right there, as far as both those groups together. So
absolutely. And we really just want the same thing for our kids.
absolutely.
And so I think it's great, and I think it's an exciting trend to see everyone coming together from different groups. We have another question for you, Karen. Kelly wants to know, regarding advocacy, what keeps you positive / motivated when things get frustrating for you?
Oh gosh. I run every day.
Good for you.
Exercise, I think, has been a staple throughout my life, and certainly I think it's for me as much of a mental break as it is a physical break. I'm a runner. I run every day, but really when I'm running, I'm thinking about my day, what my plans are, and really if there's any stress up there, it helps me to get all that out. And so that helps me keep positive. But really, I think I have a lot of great sounding boards that I can bounce things off of. My husband is a great partner. We really work together to, look ahead for Caleb. But I've got some really good friends that I can confide in and just, say, what do you think about this? Or, have you tried this yet? So I think having that, again, great support and great community helps a lot, because then you don't feel like you're all alone in it, which is so frustrating.
Of course, yeah. And and it can be a very lonely journey. I have found, even for myself, there's times where I just feel very alone with Jacob, and an image comes to me a couple of weeks ago. We went to the park together, and it was just Jacob and I. And he was content just sitting there doing his own thing. There was no one else in the park. It was just me and him. And I felt the overwhelming sense of loneliness. And, thankfully he didn't. But it just hit me of like how when I was raising my girls, and I'm sure you probably felt the same too, when you raised your daughter, it was very different in a lot of different aspects than raising Caleb or, raising Jacob. When I was with my girls, we did play groups and we played play dates and we did all kinds of fun stuff. And I think in particular, because he has autism, it can be a very isolating thing for me in particular. And it's just different. That's all I can say. And he's happy as a clam, but it can be lonely. So I think you're right. Yeah. It's important to find that group of people and to find those people who
and to find your own outlet too. Your life doesn't have to be solely focused on any one child in your family. You have to do some things for yourself too. And one of the best pieces of advice I got when Caleb was born was the stewardess talk. And some of you have heard me say this before, but when you get on an airplane, the stewardess or steward these days what's the first thing they tell you? They tell you when the air mask drops down, you have to put it on your own face first. So you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And I've always been very diligent in making sure that I do take care of myself, so I can serve my family.
Right. Absolutely. You're right. Self-care first. And I love the fact that you run every day. I need to start doing that again. I used to run a couple years ago and I just got out of rhythm, but I think that's great that you do that. And
it's not selfish. I think people think that self-care is selfish, but it's not. It's so important.
You have to, because you're right. You can't take care of others until you take care of yourself first. We have another question for you, Karen. Amy asks, how do the Jacksonville schools handle inclusion? Or how well did the Jacksonville schools handle inclusion? And because she says, my son will start kindergarten soon, and we want full inclusion. What's your best advice? And Amy, I do know Amy, and Amy has a son who has Down syndrome.
Well, my best advice would be to, again, connect with your local support group. Not sure where Amy lives, but I would think that there would be something, if her child has Down syndrome, they might be a Down Syndrome Association or a Gigi's in the area that she can reach out to. I know that even nationally, that Sarah Joe at NDSS is the education consultant there, and she has great advice about how to make inclusion work. There's so many groups on Facebook now that are working for inclusive. I'm blanking right now on the one, Inclusion for Children with Down Syndrome, I think it is, but it's got some great advice in there as well. But just make sure you know what your child's strengths are and what their areas of, improvement are. Make sure you're working on those. And if you can connect with a parent advocate, that's very helpful as well.
That's a great idea.
Your local association might have a name or two of a parent advocate to help you. Make sure you check out Rights Law, which is a great website, and they do some in-person training as well. They do some conferences around the country. But just don't take no for an answer. That would be, as far as IEPs go, people get so focused on that one IEP in the spring, but you have to realize that you can call an IEP anytime you want. If you think that your child's situation has changed or they're meeting all their goals or some of their goals and you want to make a change, don't hesitate to, communication with your child's teachers is so important. It's not just at IEP time, it's all throughout the year. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And we live in an area, Karen, where I don't know what it's like in Jacksonville, but I know in our area, this is a hot topic. And in the state of Virginia,
it's nationwide, right?
Right. Yeah, sure. I'm sure it is. We still live in a, we have classrooms that, like for Jacob, for example, I'll talk about him. He goes to a so-called inclusive preschool, but it's not. It's in a self-contained room. And the only inclusion he has with the county's preschool, now he also goes to a private one where he's full inclusion, is during recess and music time. And that's it. And the class that they bring in is not even a class so Jacob's 3 and they bring the 2-year-old class in there. And it's not okay.
Right.
And I probably shouldn't talk too much about that because we are going into an IEP meeting, but it is a hot topic and it is something that needs desperately to be changed, because every study has shown that children learn best when they're around their typically developing peers. And if you isolate them, they're not getting that full exposure. They're not getting that full level of potential that they could have interacting with them.
Well, I think there's a lot there. Caleb's 11. There's been a lot of changes as far as inclusion, the inclusion movement since he was born, certainly. And I just see it ramping up even more. So, if you can find, like I said, there's groups on Facebook that, they can lead you to, maybe local support groups. But just make sure, like I said, that you keep that communication open. And if there's things that you are concerned about, don't be afraid to share them. No one's going to know what you want for your child until you vocalize it.
Absolutely. I think that's a really important point you just made there. No one else is going to know what you want with your child. You have to ask. So we also want to welcome Pam, Stephanie, and Bradford. Thank you again for choosing to be part of our dialogue tonight and spending your time with us this evening. Again, we have Karen Prewitt with us, who is a wonderful parent advocate in Jacksonville, Florida. We have another question for you, Karen. Kelly asks, what are your favorite things to do with Caleb?
Oh gosh, sports. Sports, yeah, we are a sports junkie family at this point in our lives. I think we did golf, swimming, baseball, football, and more golf over the weekend. That was just our weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, he loves sports. I love sports. I was a PE major in college, so
Okay.
Daddy loves sports, so that's all good too. But like I said, that whole cooking thing with him and Daddy, he loves that. So, I don't know where that came from because I don't like to cook. I don't cook, so
I don't either.
That's their thing, and they can have it.
That's right. That's good that one of you guys likes to cook for Caleb's sake, right? I guess someone needs to make the dinner at nighttime. No,
but really, it's yeah, I would say sports and cooking are his two favorite things. But really, anything. He loves being around people. He loves to dance. He loves to be social, which is a wonderful skill to have. We're working on, the more appropriate parts of being social now, where looking up at people and making sure you greet them appropriately.
Yeah. You're talking about greeting appropriately, and I'm laughing because Jacob likes to, even though he's not potty trained, every time he meets a new person, they'll say, "Hi, nice to meet you, Jacob," or their typical introduction. Jacob will go, "Hi, potty please, potty please." Like, no, Jacob, we don't tell people we need to go potty. But
at least no one's gonna know what you want until you vocalize it, right?
Well, I think that's something that he knows we all can understand and relate to. So in his mind, saying "I need to go potty" is a greeting for him.
There you go.
So we're also working on appropriate greetings. But yeah, that's funny. So does Caleb have a favorite sport?
If you ask him, he will say bowling. That is his favorite sport. But we're in the throes of golf right now, and also swimming.
Okay.
And horse riding. So
nice. He does horse riding too.
Those are all, we started horse therapy when he was 3.
Okay.
It's therapeutic riding. So it's not hippotherapy. There's a difference between the two.
Okay.
So Google both of those and you'll see what the difference is. But he started therapeutic riding when he was 3, and I was very skeptical about it. But now that he's 11 and he's been doing it for 8 years now, he loves it. He went to state for Special Olympics for equestrian this year, and that was a thrill. And it's really helped him with, I think, self-confidence.
Okay.
Because you're up on this, I don't know if you've ever done horse riding, but you're up on this huge animal, and it's just you, this little person, controlling this animal. And so it can help your confidence, I'm sure. And so it's just been good for him.
That's wonderful. And he does bowling he does something for the Special Olympics in Florida, right? Like, you guys are really active with that.
Right. I'm on the board there too. I have
of course you are.
Yeah. We just had a meeting tonight.
Nice.
But yeah, he's been involved. There's a young athletes program with Special Olympics that kids can start when they're 2. And that just teaches them the basic skills of, running, jumping, batting, all those, throwing a ball, all those basic skills you need. And then when you turn 8, you're eligible for the sports side of Special Olympics. And we jumped in with both feet because he does 8 sports now with Special Olympics and loves them all. Like I said, I think bowling is his favorite, but he loves being active, which I think is great for him. And, the thing about sports is that I think being a PE major, I think it's so important for our kids to have that release, to have that outlet with sports. I mean, just like I run for my sanity just as much as for my physical being, I think it's as important for our kids who have, communication challenges or just get frustrated with the way things are going, to have that release.
Of course. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's wonderful. And you jumped around a lot. So you just finished your meeting tonight, then you came straight to this. I don't know how you do it, Karen.
I sleep good.
That's good. And you run in the mornings.
I sleep, yeah.
I think I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and just do a run around my neighborhood. Very inspiring. So Karen, the other thing is, I know you're involved with the toothbrush pillow. And I'm curious, I mean, I've seen certain things on Instagram about that, but can you explain the toothbrush pillow to those people who do not know what that is? Because I know you blog.
I hope they're watching. And I have to give a shout out to Lee and Deanna with the toothbrush pillow, who reached out to me, gosh, about 1.5 years ago, and they had invented this toothbrush pillow, and it really helps. It helps so many different people, but it's I wish I had one with me right now, but it's a little stand, and you can put your toothbrush, you can stand it up, but then when you're trying to figure out how much toothpaste to put on, there's a little bed that you lay it in, and the head, so you can figure out how much, what's appropriate size. Like Caleb was trying to figure out, is it this much toothpaste or is it this much toothpaste? And just having that base of support there, that helped him figure that out. So, but Lee reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to start blogging for, I'm really interested in disabilities. They had a niece who has autism. And, he had seen me on Instagram or something, and I said, sure. So, about once a month, I'll do a blog for them. But since that time, 1.5 years ago, they have adopted a daughter with Down syndrome from Reese's Rainbow. So
wonderful.
Yeah. Her name is Mackenzie, and she's the most beautiful little girl you've ever seen. So.
Oh, that's precious. And how old is their other child, you said?
They have 4 now. So
okay.
They have a niece who has autism, right?
A niece. Okay. That's wonderful. So now they have their own little sweetie.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Reese's Rainbow too. Yeah. I see every single child, they're like, oh gosh, Brian, please give me.
I want to bring them all home.
No more. But I would adopt all those kids. They're just the sweetest little things. Their stories are usually heartbreaking though.
Yeah, it's a hard site to go on sometimes, but God bless those people who end up being a forever family for those kids.
Absolutely. It's so important. So we have another question for you, Karen. Robin asks, if you could create and pass any legislation to support the special needs community, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Well, it would revolve around employment. That's for sure. Whether it's the, loss syndrome or just making sure that our folks have equal access to employment. There's so many things that tie into that, whether it's job coaching or whether it's transportation, whether it's just employers realizing that our individuals can do good work. We just need to find the right fit for them. And a lot of it too, I'm going to jump back here for a minute, but a lot of it too is parents looking ahead when their children are little and trying to, like you asked me, what does Caleb like to do? He loves sports and he loves cooking. Well, what's something down the line that he could use those skills or those passions for employment? And maybe he ends up working in a restaurant, or maybe he ends up working for one of the sports teams here in town. How do we tie that to an employment piece that is exciting for him to get up every morning and go to work? Because we all like to be excited about the work we do. So
sure.
I kind of segued my way around that, but it would have to do with employment. So I'm not sure how. It's too late for me to think of the exact wording, but it would do that.
Yeah, you did great. And I'm curious myself, Karen, what has been your favorite part of advocacy work so far? Like, what do you feel that you've done that's made a difference in your life and in Caleb's life and in the community as a whole?
Well, I have to say I really love serving on our family care council, which works very closely with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities here in Florida, who manage the Medicaid waiver for us. There's a lot of room for advocacy in that because I think in Florida, there's like a 20,000 person waiting list now for services.
Oh my goodness.
So, as we wean away from sheltered workshops and those types of things and try and help our folks get out in the community and do community employment, they're going to need support out there. And, however that looks, like job coaching or transportation or just trying to self-determine what those skills are that you really are passionate about. That all takes time and money and energy and support from others. So I would say my work with Family Care Council has been my favorite part of that.
That's great. Excellent. Karen, what haven't we covered tonight that you would love to talk about that I haven't?
Oh gosh.
Our audience hasn't covered.
We talked about partners in policy, so that was great.
Fellow PIP.
Yeah, hooray.
Yay.
We talked about getting connected, which was another area of, that I really am passionate about.
Yeah.
I would say, we just touched on it a little bit, but I would say looking ahead for your loved one, however old they are, just make sure that you don't get caught up in the day-to-day. Find a time, like maybe once a month or maybe once a quarter, and sit down with your partner, spouse, or significant other and just say, hey, let's look at our plan for so-and-so, for Caleb, for Jacob. Let's what do we want him to accomplish in the next year? What's some skills that we want to start working on? What's some things that we want him to do in 5 years? I know it's hard to look that far ahead, but realistically, having an adult daughter, it goes very fast, and you have to have that long range vision, I think, and start laying the groundwork for the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point, Karen, because I know for myself, I live so much from moment to moment with Jacob. And at the end of the day, once he goes to bed, which he's not in bed right now, he's still up, I am so frazzled. I am so tired that I just think, oh my gosh, we're going to wake up tomorrow and this boy's going to go full steam ahead. And I just have to make sure that I keep up with him. And I'm not even thinking about next month, much less 5 years from now. So I think that's a great point that you made, because a lot of the times we just, at least for myself, I can speak for myself, I just get so boggled down with the moment by moment. And
well, you're not speaking just from yourself. You're speaking for about 99% of, not just parents of kids with unique needs, but parents in general, because today's world moves so fast, these days is, we have to find that quiet time with each other and just, say, hey, maybe it's, you schedule it in your calendar, here's 2 hours that we're going to devote to just looking at our plan for, when I did Partners in Policy, and this is so wonderful, and I wish I need to do this too, is we had a lady come in. I'm not sure how much time we have left, but we had a lady come in, and she had an adult daughter who had her own business. She made little knickknacks, and they went around to markets and sold them. And what she had done is she had developed a circle of support, she called it. And it was friends, it was clergy, it was educators, it was anyone who she felt had an interest in making sure her child was successful. And they had like quarterly meetings, and they talked about the plan for this young lady starting when she was in high school. And I thought, what a great idea, you know, to not only rely on yourself and your significant other, but to rely on all these people with all this experience. So that's just such a great thing.
That is wonderful. I love that. Gosh.
So she needs to trademark that, right?
Yeah, she does. That's fantastic. And again, what a good, that's just a wonderful, I'm glad that you brought that up, because may we all strive to find that kind of network and that kind of support system, that tribe.
Yeah, really.
No,
and you know, they're all focused on making sure your child is successful. And they all have friends, so, you know, who knows where that could lead. It's just
right.
Making sure those connections are out there. So.
Absolutely. Well, I did that. This wraps up our Movement Tuesday. And we'd love for you to pick a number now, Karen. We're going to pick a number to do the drawing for the Target gift card. So hold on, I'm going to get from Brian what number that. Between 1 and 40. Okay, so between 1 and 40, Karen.
I'm going to go for 40.
40. All right. Drum roll. Here we go. All right. Congratulations, Amy Bravo. You are a winner tonight. Yay, Amy. Yay. Amy, if you could just message me your address. Actually, I might even have it. Just message me your address and I will send off that gift card to you. And thank you for being part of this. And thank you to everyone who joined us tonight to be part of our discussion. You guys asked great questions tonight. And we got some good tidbits from Karen. So Karen, really, and we just appreciate you so much, you being part of this tonight, Karen.
Well, thanks for asking me. I'm really thrilled that we finally got to do it. And,
yes, me too.
And hope you guys were safe last night with the power outage. But,
yeah, thank you. We had some crazy storms here in the state of Virginia, and we had last night there was like a tornado warning going on. It was a crazy night for us. But yeah, no, we're good. Everyone's good. The AC was knocked out today at our kids' school, at my daughter's school. She was very mad about that. But besides that,
sure.
Yeah. But I guess the parents, I mean, the principal sent out this email this morning, and apparently a bunch of parents ran over fans. So all the classrooms had fans. So that was good. They stepped in. But yeah, thank you. We're all good today. So yeah.
Well, thanks for all you do, because I love what you do, and keep being that voice and keep showcasing all these different wonderful people who are doing such amazing things around the country. And we are all better together. So hopefully we are.
Thank you so much, Karen. That means a lot. Thank you. And I just keep rocking out with Caleb. You guys are so inspiring. Caleb, the man.
Follow us.
Yeah, absolutely follow Karen. Follow Caleb's crew. Yeah, you can see all his cooking demonstrations. So thank you again, Karen.
You're welcome, and have a great night.
Thanks, you too. Good night.